Welcome future CPA to today's episode of CPAguide.tv. So in this video, I want to cover step by step what you need to be doing to pick the best CPA review course for your specific situation. So we'll cover what features are actually important and which ones are just marketing buzzwords, how to pick a CPA review course on a budget, and much more. Now, as one of the few CPA exam coaches in this industry, I have a very unique perspective, and then I have access to every single major CPA review course. And I also use 2 of them to pass the CPA exam. So this allows me to confidently tell you which CPA review courses are quality and which ones are going to waste your time. Now, I should mention that before you can confidently make a CPA course purchasing decision, you need to understand your CPA exam study personality. And I've got a little tool that you can use for that. Now, I'll be sharing a little bit more on that in a second, but here's the dirty little secret that no one will tell you about CPA review courses. They all have basically the same content. So it's all based on the same accounting standards and multiple choice questions released by the AI CPA. So where the big difference lie are in how they present the material. And this is important because if your study personality doesn't match up with the way that they present the material, you're in for a world of hurt. And I would know because I fell for this trap and I ended up failing all 4 sections in a row before finally passing the CPA exam, which I'll share that crazy story just a little bit later on in the video. Now, to help you maximize this video, I did put together some bonus content for you directly below this in the video description in the comment section. So the first bonus content is going to be that tool that I just teased. It's my CPA exam study personality quiz. So it's a simple quiz. It'll take you about 30 to 45 seconds to complete. And by the end, you will confidently understand how you learn best. So once you understand this, you'll be able to pick the right CPA review course for your specific situation. And you'll also know how to use the course confidently. So the second piece of bonus content is going to be a replay of my best live webinar that I held for brand new CPA candidates that will show you exactly how to pass the CPA exam in 6 months or less, no matter what CPA review course you use. So if you're serious about passing the CPA exam on your first try, then this webinar is absolutely for you. So to join the free CPA exam coaching workshop, click the link in the video description below and pick the time that works best for you, and I'll shoot you an email with all the details on how to join live, and I'll throw in a free CPA exam study guide and 100 multiple choice Q&As. All right, and my third and most important bonus is going to be found directly below in the video description. So I've listed out all the most recommended CPA review courses, what I like and don't like, and to make it even simpler for you, I've made recommendations based on study personality type. So after you complete your quiz, you can come back to the video and confidently make your purchasing decision here. And what's great is that I'm constantly jumping in and updating this content to the latest updates so that you can confidently know that the information is up to date, even if you're watching this video a year or 2 after I've published it. Sounds pretty cool, right? Now, I will mention that some of the links below, they are affiliate links, so I do receive a small commission if you click on them before buying. So if this video hasn't helped your purchasing decision, then please don't click any of them. But I will say that I do keep my channel ad-free just for my viewers. So if you'd like to support my channel, feel free to use any of my links before investing. All right, so now that you've completed your study personality quiz, signed up for my best webinar, let's dive into what features your CPA review course needs to have, what courses are out there, and how to pick a review course even if you're on a tight budget. All right, future CPAs, welcome to Ultimate CPA Exam Guide, the proven step-by-step playbook for starting, studying, and passing the CPA exam in 6 months or less. So today's tutorial, it's all about helping you pick the best CPA review course for your specific situation, no matter your budget, your age, your job, or your skill level. So who is this tutorial for? Well, it's for all CPA candidates, regardless of whether you have purchased a CPA review course or not, because you need to understand on your journey to becoming a CPA, there may come a time when you need a completely different CPA review course, a different set of study materials, different resources, and so forth. So you just always need to be vigilant and understand when the right time to get a CPA review course is and how to know which course to get when that time comes. So today's game plan, we'll learn what features are important, which ones are not. There's a lot of marketing buzzwords out there. We'll learn to identify the best and worst study habits that you have. So again, this video, it's all about you and helping you determine which course is best for you. We'll also be covering what CPA review courses I recommend based on how you study. And then I'm going to share my devastating story about how, based on mistakes that I made, I ended up losing out on $10,000 on my journey to becoming a CPA. So the last thing I want for you is to lose out on $10,000. And by the end of this video, you'll understand how to avoid that mistake. Okay, so first up, CPA review course features. What are important? So the number one thing that I hear from folks are video lectures, that people assume they're the most important. And again, I'm here to tell you that it depends, and we'll go into that a little bit later. Detailed textbook, that's another big one. And again, it depends how you learn, because not all textbooks are created equally. So depending how you learn, you might focus more on using a textbook. You might focus more on using video lectures to learn. It just depends on your personal study personality. Multiple choice, this is a gold standard. Your CPA review course must have good multiple choice. Simulations and skills learning, absolutely required to have. They need to prepare you for the real exam, because again, these are 50-50 split now. Multiple choice analytics, and these are crucial. So you need to use these analytics to identify where to spend your time. So you really need to spend a lot of time researching all the review courses, find the course that has the best analytics for your study personality, and go with that one. Software access time. I had a course that expired on me, so there is nothing more stressful than being in the middle of studying for a section of the CPA exam and then losing access to your CPA review course and having to scramble, switch everything up. So software access is a huge feature to consider. Flashcards, and again, it depends how you learn. For me personally, flashcards are a huge reason why I'm a CPA today. So pre-made flashcards are really nice, can save a ton of time. Mobile apps, if you're an auditor or somebody who is on the go a lot, mobile apps will really help you study more efficiently as well. Cram courses or final review courses, these are good to have just in case if you need a little extra push right before you sit for each exam. And there's different focuses. So some are more along the lines of a test bank. So it's just a bunch of multiple choice questions. There's other cram courses that are more video lecture focused. So again, it depends how you learn, your study personality, on which type of cram course or final review you will want to go with. Okay, so what's not important when you're doing research on finding the right CPA review course for you? So the first one is fake adaptive learning technology. So adaptive learning, it's been the big buzzword in the industry for quite some time now. And basically, if you're not familiar with it, adaptive learning is a software algorithm that, based on how you're answering questions, identifies what the algorithm thinks you know versus what you don't know. And basically, it's going to isolate the topics that you don't know, so that you're not wasting time studying stuff that you already understand. Now, personally, I have a lot of problems with adaptive learning technology. It's not perfect by any means. I'm a little bit more old school. I prefer to go through all the material, touch at least everything once, and then look at the multiple choice analytics and manually sift through the data to identify what I know and don't know. So to me, that's what worked for me to pass the CPA exam, and I don't see any reason why that has changed over the years. So adaptive learning, it can automate some of the process, but again, if you invest in a CPA review course with adaptive learning technology, make sure there's an option to where you can manually look at what you're studying as well, and not just rely 100% on this algorithm. But what's even worse is the fake adaptive learning technology. So some companies have just kind of tacked on, so they have this new buzzword that they can promote so that they can keep up with the industry. But the reality is, it's a pre-assessment quiz. So you're taking a short quiz of like 10 questions before each chapter. And then assuming you score like 80% or above, they're going to tell you that you don't need to spend nearly as much time on this topic, because apparently because of a 10-question quiz, you already know everything in this chapter. So to me, that's kind of foolish. It's kind of a waste of time, because one, what you know today might be something that you have forgotten by exam day, and two, you could have guessed on some questions. You might you thought you got a question right, but you got it right for the wrong reasons, and you didn't truly understand why the question was right or wrong. I mean, there's just so many different things that I don't think a little pre-assessment quiz is really considered adaptive learning, and it's really going to waste your time and could potentially hurt your scores, because you're skipping over topics that you thought you understood but you don't really understand. So just a word of warning about this adaptive learning technology. It can be a little bit deceiving, so I really recommend signing up for the free trial of any CPA review course that is promoting this adaptive learning type technology. And there's a lot of buzzwords. So there's adapt to use, smart adapt, adapt to pass, adaptive learning technology. So there's a lot of different buzzwords out there. So just be aware of the terminology, what it means, and make sure that it matches up with your study personality when you're investing in a course. Okay, another silly thing that is definitely not important is CPA exam video games. So there's a few video games out there that are, I'm not sure why they created them. To me, it's an inefficient way to study. It's a distraction. Definitely avoid using them, in my opinion, but definitely don't make a purchasing decision because the CPA review course has some sort of video game built in. Forums. So a lot of people love forums. It's a great way to have your questions answered and to help other people in the community. But when you are studying for the CPA exam, be selfish. Do not help other people. Only use a forum if you have a question and you need help. Don't be spending time helping other people. Your time is way too valuable and you don't have time to do that. So be very selfish if your CPA review course comes with a forum. Pricing. So we'll talk about budget a little bit later, but just because a CPA review course is the most expensive does not mean it is the best course for you. I fell for this mistake, and just don't look at price as in any way, honestly, when looking for a CPA review course. Look at what your study personality is. Find the CPA review course that has the features and the tools that will maximize your study personality and go from there. So just ignore price if you can. All right, and the final one here is any CPA review course that's saying we have the most CPA exam questions. That should not necessarily mean that they are the best CPA review course as well. So sure, it's great to have almost unlimited CPA exam questions. It's a great way to kind of hedge your risk if you do end up failing, because that means you won't have to go out and buy additional study supplements if you do fail, because you'll have enough fresh multiple choice questions and simulations to keep you going through your retake. But yeah, if you find the course that is absolutely perfect for you, but they only have 5,000 or 6,000 multiple choice questions, go with that course. You can always buy additional study supplements if you need them. So multiple choice questions are so cheap. There's so many test banks that are out there. So don't think that because the CPA review course has the most CPA exam questions means that it's the best CPA review course. Again, it's all based on your study personality, how they present the material, not necessarily that the material that they have. Because again, everybody is taking from the same source material, so the CPA exam questions, they're all pretty much the same across all CPA review courses. Okay, so who are the big players? So we got Becker CPA Review, my oldest friend. We got Wiley CPAexcel. We got Rogers CPA Review, Gleim CPA Review, Surgent CPA Review, Fast Forward Academy, and Jaeger CPA Review. So these are the big 7 that I recommend. And for the majority of folks, any of these courses will work for them. Some present the material differently, so it's very important to understand the little nuances between them, because again, it really depends on your study personality which one is going to work best for you. Some have far superior video lectures, others have far superior textbooks, others have much better multiple choice question explanations, others have better analytics, and so forth. So again, there's a whole lot of information. You do need to do your research. It's worth spending 2 to 3 hours trying each of these courses. Read my review. So if you head down to the video description, I'm going to keep this up to date. So it's 2018 right now, but the beautiful thing about YouTube is I can go in and update video descriptions whenever. So I promise to keep those up to date for you, regardless of when you're watching this video, whether it's 2 years from now or 5 years, whatever. I'm going to make sure to update those, and I'll include all the relevant information that you need to know, what I don't like and don't like, which course will work best with your specific study personality. So if you take my study personality quiz over at freecpaquiz.com, it's going to give you a very specific study personality. I'll be sure to include your personality type in the video description below this video. And if you don't see your personality type next to the CPA review course, you might want to look elsewhere. Okay, so this slide, it's all about you. So what are your study strengths? So at this point, you might want to take a moment, take out a sheet of paper, and write down 3 ways that you think you learn best. So think back to college, think back to when you're in a presentation. What do you do to help you remember what you are being presented with? So here's my 3 strengths, just to give you an example, kind of a baseline. So I learn from answering questions on my own and from learning from mistakes. So that's me in a nutshell. I also learned from flashcards, going over and over and over and over, memorizing definitions, and then applying it by reading the text and then picking out key points to remember and then making my own flashcards and so forth. So I'm a very tactile learner. So I like touching a textbook, reading from a textbook, and then answering questions and then learning from those questions. So that's a good summary of my study strengths. So hopefully you have something fairly similar. Now it might be more that you're focused on, you learn from being in a classroom setting. So maybe you're more auditory learner instead of visual learner like me. You learn from watching a lecture, and you don't necessarily learn very well when you look at a textbook. Maybe your eyes glaze over when you start reading. So that's when your focus is. You need to find a CPA review course with video lectures. For me, it was a textbook. That was more important. Okay, so what are your study weaknesses? So this is the next step, right? So the key to absolutely crushing the CPA exam is to identify the ways of studying that don't work for you. So think of at least 3 right now. So here's 3 that I identified, or actually 4. So I found that making notes and outlines from the textbook. So I saw my strength as reading the textbook and learning from it. So then what I ended up doing was making detailed notes, because I thought that writing them out and then making outlines from the text would help me recall them. And because that's how I studied in college, and I figured it would work for the CPA exam. And I could not have been a worse idea to do this, because it just created a ton of busy work for myself. So what happened was that, and I would also make my own flashcards. So I would feel like I was getting a lot done, but really I was just trudging along at a snail's pace. When the CPA exam, it is a sprint. You need to get through everything as quickly as possible and find the most efficient way to get through the material. Another weakness I have is that watching a 2 to 3 hour lecture in one sitting, my eyes glazed over after 5 seconds and I learned nothing. So nothing stuck. So I had to go to the textbook and teach myself the same material. And guess what? It took me another 2 to 3 hours to do that. So I was literally doubling the time that I was taking to study for the CPA exam, which huge weakness. And then another weakness I found was that doing the same multiple choice questions over and over and over again gave myself a false sense of confidence. So because I had memorized the answer, I assumed that I understood why the question was right or wrong. And that led to a whole lot of issues later on down the line whenever I failed my first section of the CPA exam, and then I went to retake it. So, you see the same questions over and over and over, and then you go to the CPA exam and it's brand new questions you've never seen before, and you freak out and bad things happen. So that's a huge weakness that I also found in myself. So again, take some time, really think about what your study weaknesses are, and once you've identified them, you'll really have a good idea of how to cut out a lot of busy work. Okay, so here's my $10,000 mistake. So I went with a CPA review course that didn't maximize how I learn best. So I went with Becker CPA Review instead of doing any research at all. So I just assumed, hey, Becker is the most expensive. My dad used it to pass years ago. All my friends are using it. It's good enough for me. And man, I couldn't have been further from the truth. So their access, like I mentioned before, is very short. So this created unnecessary stress for me, because I failed all 4 sections of the CPA exam in a row, and then I jumped into busy season, and then life got in the way. And before I knew it, I was in the middle of studying, and my Becker access disappeared. And so I had to scramble, and I found a different CPA review course. So I also followed Becker's one-size-fits-all study model. So like I said before, I do not learn from video lectures very well, and Becker requires you to watch all their video lectures, and man, do they have a lot. So I spent probably 100+ hours watching video lectures, and then spent about the same amount of time rereading the textbook, reteaching myself that material, when the reality is I should have skipped the video lectures and jumped right into the textbook and only used the lectures as reference points. So here is the total dollar amount. So here, how do I get to $10,000? Well, $300 for Becker, $1,000 for the Wright CPA review course. So I ended up investing in Gleim CPA review when my Becker expired. And it was the perfect tool that I needed, because their whole focus, or the way that I made my focus, was reading the text and answering questions over and over. And then, I failed all 4 sections of the CPA exam, so it was an additional $2,000 in extra CPA fees. Plus, I lost out on a $5,000 CPA exam pass bonus. So overall, about $10,000 down the drain just because I didn't do any research and find the right CPA review course for my study personality. So please, please, please don't make the same mistake I did, and do your research, find the right CPA review course. Now, good news if you are using Becker, they've completely revamped their course. You can also make Becker work for you. Once you've determined your study personality, they also have shifted away from the 2 to 3 hour video lectures. They're now more like 15 to 50 minutes. So definitely good news all around if you're using Becker. And please don't use my story as a reason not to invest with Becker. If Becker is the right course for your study personality, please, by all means, do invest in it, because it is a quality course. They have very good multiple choice questions and analytics. It just wasn't for me. Okay, so where do you fall in these 3 categories? So are you more of an introvert self-studier? Do you prefer to study alone, do questions and teach yourself concepts? That describes me pretty well. Do you learn by listening? Do you need a strong lecturer to learn? If that's you, then there's definitely some specific CPA review courses that will work better for you than others. Or are you more of a socialite studier? Are you more extroverted, involved in a lot of extracurricular activities like group studying and so forth? Then there's also other CPA review courses that will work better for you than others. So again, try and identify which bucket you fit into. And if you're still not sure, there's a much more detailed analysis that you can complete if you head over to freecpaquiz.com. It will give you very detailed breakdown that will help you identify your learning type, much more specific than this YouTube video can do. So also below, you can find specific recommendations for courses based on your study personality type in the video description. And like I said before, I'm going to do my best to keep this up to date every single year. So if you're watching this video in 2018, 2022, whenever it might be, the information in the video description should be up to date. And I'll make sure to have a last updated date posted in the video description so you can be sure the information is valid still. Okay, so that's the big thing. Figure out your study personality, head to the video description, and find the right course for you. And I've got all kinds of discounts, free trials, links to my written reviews, other video reviews, all sorts of stuff. Like I've spent a lot of time working on this, so I know it's going to really help you find the right course for your specific situation. All right, so another question that I get all the time is, Brian, I'm on an extreme budget. What do I do when investing in a CPA review course? So here's the honest truth. I would go into debt to get a CPA review course if you have to. If there's no other option, passing the CPA exam is that important for your career. It really is the only thing that's going to set you apart, because everybody has a master's degree now. Everybody has an MBA. Becoming a CPA gets you into an elite tier of an employee, and it will, believe me, within 2 years of passing the CPA exam, I was able to negotiate a $25,000 per year increase in my annual salary. So yeah, sure, I lost out on $10,000 at the beginning because I missed bonuses and extra expenses and so forth. But that $25,000 per year is going to stick with me, my career, for the rest of my career. So it's exponentially going to compound over the years and be worth well over $1 million by the time I retire. So, if you're tight on money now, it would be foolish not to get the right tools, because in the long run, it's going to save you money. Because if you get the wrong tools, you're going to fail. You're going to have to spend more money on a different CPA review course and more money on CPA exam fees. And you're gonna spend exponentially more money than if you had just bought the right CPA review course at the right price for you. Now, that budget, price has nothing to do with quality of the CPA review course. It's all about the features. So don't just go out there and do what I did and buy the most expensive CPA review course, assuming it's the best for you. So again, you got to focus on your study personality. But the fact of the matter is that to get the best features, you will have to pay a premium price, and to get for the majority of you, you will need to spend probably over $2,000 on a CPA review course. Now, some of you, depending on how you learn, like I probably could have gotten away with spending about $1,200 on a CPA review course and just gone with a course like Gleim, which isn't extremely expensive. But the majority of you are not going to be like me, and you're going to want those good video lectures and plus the good multiple choice questions and so forth. So again, budget, it plays a big role, and I understand that there's limitations, but you have to invest in the right tools, or else you're not going to pass this exam. That's pretty much bottom line. All right, so let's wrap it up. So picking the right CPA review course is all about your study personality. You know, I really wish there was a way that I could just tell you which course is the best. But again, the dirty little secret is that all these courses, they basically have the same information, the same multiple choice questions, but it's how the information is presented that is drastically different. So if you pick the wrong course that doesn't present the material in a way that you absorb quickly, it's going to cause problems. And that's why your study personality is crucial. And again, your budget, I understand the limitations, but you have to get the right tools in order to pass, or else you're going to end up spending a lot more money in the long run. Hey, future CPA, Brian again here with a quick reminder. So now that you know how to confidently pick the best CPA review course for your specific situation, I wanted to share again about my bonus content that will really complement this video and honestly make purchasing, heck, passing the CPA exam so much simpler. So the first bonus content is going to be my study personality quiz. So it's a simple quiz that will take 30 to 45 seconds to complete, and by the end you will confidently understand how you learn best. And once you understand this, you'll be able to pick the right CPA review course based on your specific situation. And you'll also know how to confidently use this course. So the second bonus content is going to be a replay of my best live webinar that I held for brand new CPA candidates that will show you exactly how to pass a CPA exam in 6 months or less, no matter what CPA review course you end up using. So if you're serious about passing the CPA exam in your first try, then this webinar is absolutely for you. So to join the free CPA exam coaching workshop, just click the link in the video description or comment section below, pick the time that works best for you, and I'll shoot you an email with all the details about how to join live, and I'll also be throwing in a free CPA study guide and 100 multiple choice questions. All right, and my third and most important bonus is going to be found directly in the video description below. So I've listed out all of my most recommended CPA review courses, and to make it simpler for you, I've made recommendations based on study personality types, so that after you complete your quiz, you can come back to the video and confidently make your purchasing decision here. And what's great is that I'm constantly jumping in and updating this content to the latest updates so that you can confidently know the information is up to date, even if you're watching this video a year or two after I've published it. Okay, future CPA, hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to share it with anyone you know who is taking the CPA exam or is looking to invest in a CPA review course. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch up with you in the next one.